So please, my door is always open, feel free, come in, anytime, see what we're doing. You know, we want to see you here. Thank you.
Thank you.
If someone were to ask you, would you have a list of specifics for them?
Yeah, I do, I actually, yeah.
Good, I'll be asking you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any more comments? Okay, thank you, everyone. Let's go on to the next item. 8A is any of our students here? Nope, okay. Did you have the list of who they were that you could go ahead and say who they are?
Pull it up on our high school.
I have it here.
Agenda item right here. Okay.
So I'd like to still recognize them.
Sure. Elementary, you guys had 2 second graders, John Dyer and Olivia Bingston. They're both pretty awesome little kids. When you look at leaders within their classrooms, I think both of those are, you know, up and coming leaders in the elementary. Gracie Pearson. Gracie Pearson just moved to us this year. She transferred in from Broken Bow. She has been a delight. She's out for track. She's been an FFA. She's a great kid, role model for other kids. Top of her
Mr.
class,
Bristol is on my speaker.
super smart kid. Destiny Mills is also a kid that is kind of under the radar. She's two maids in our daycare down here, and she doesn't bring a lot of fame to herself, but she kind of goes unnoticed. So I do like that she's getting recognized for that, because she's a kid that doesn't get recognized a lot.
Thank you very much. And again, for anybody that's on the internet in here, thank you to the parents who raise such outstanding students, and thank the students for being outstanding kiddos in our school. So let's.
Janet, hold on. Can you hear us, Mr. Bristol?
Yes.
Okay.
The next item is the FRO position, Mr. Hannah, I believe.
You got it. This is my first school board meeting ever, so
Okay.
I don't have kids and I've never been at a school board meeting, so.
They're not all that cracked up to be sometimes.
I brought some paperwork for you guys. Okay, so obviously there's a lot of numbers on that first page that I showed you. I'm just here. I've worked with Sutherland School for the last 8 years, doing the school safety liaison. I took care of all 5 county schools, village schools, in Lincoln County for those 8 years. I recently got promoted, so I turned that over to a couple other guys. Quinn Smith now takes care of Sutherland and Wallace, and then Deputy McCoy takes care of the other 3 schools. During that time, we have discussed with the schools a lot about trying to get SRO programs started. Before I completely stepped down, I had the opportunity to apply for the cops hiring program grant this past year. Sheriff Kramer allowed that. We were awarded last year in May for the $125,000 for salary assistance. During our talks with all area schools, it's always been a matter of money when it comes down to everything. Whether the belief is, do we need SROs or not? At the end of the day, it's always how do we pay for it. So on that first sheet there is kind of a breakdown of what we're looking at from the sheriff's office side of where money's at. Obviously, the biggest issue was the initial cost. So, you know, outfitting a vehicle, equipment, all that, you know, the sheriff's office comes up with quite a bit of money plus a salary. So instead of, I mean, we can go over all the numbers. But like the first year with the 75% input from Sutherland School would be around $53,595. The sheriff's office would still have to come up with $61,277 for that first year for the vehicle, radio stuff, cage, the vehicle builds, the body camera. Throughout year 2 and 3, Obviously, it looks like our cost is lower. But we spreading that out, that average, that initial cost is about 24,000 over those 3 years. And then after that, you know, year 4 and 5, we're looking at, we're gonna have a whole nother pickup we're gonna have to build, which we're gonna have to hit the cost on that one for the sheriff's office. That's not represented because we don't know how long we can push one of the pickups out to cover that. So these numbers aren't final, set, anything like that, or have to be agreed upon tonight. They're just kind of a rough overview of what everything's looking like. Deputy Smith is gonna go down to the Wallace board meeting tonight. Ask if they wanted to cooperate at all. However, with this COPS grant for the first 3 years, all of my reporting and audits have to be done through just Sutherland School, because that's the only one that showed interest when we initially set up the grant. So if there is an agreement between Wallace that they want to take on, you know, 1 or 2 days a month or a week or whatever that is, that has to be done kind of through you guys. I can't report that we received any money from Wallace. Just for that grant purpose. After year 4 and 5, that can all change, but we're kind of held to the fire on how we report stuff back to the federal government on the DOJ on year 1, 2, and 3. So that's kind of the money side of it. I know I've had meetings with Ms. Busher and Ms. Hibner at the office, just trying to get this ball rolling. And I know Ms. Hibner is gonna be a change in administration, so I just gonna want to be here at the board with you guys, so you guys are all kind of on the same page. One of the things on the next page is the kind of the cons and the pros of what an SRO program is. A lot of the kickback, I've kind of got to go against, not against, or sell this to 3 boards. It's my administration, you guys, and the county commissioners to see if this is all gonna work out. So I've been in this seat quite a bit. And a lot of the big thing is regardless of if we have an SRO position, if you guys call 911, you're gonna come, right? And the answer is yes, that's our job. But the biggest thing, without reading through every one of these, is how SROs can be such a proactive position in a school and build on the community. We have a lot of things coming in from outside, new plants, the rail park, of being that voice of good reason with law enforcement side to be able to communicate with these kids effectively and assist you guys in what you have going on. That 3rd page is just kind of a breakdown over what we've had calls for service here at the school for 2022, 2023, and 2024. 2022, we had 150 calls for service here at the school. And when looking at these numbers, you also have to remember, I can only report on what you're actually dispatched to school for. If dispatch got a call after school hours, but it happened at school, they'll list that address as the actual child's home. I just have no way of pulling that information, but actual calls from the school is 154. 2023 is 160 calls, and this year already we have 49 calls. They range from assaults, disturbances, sex offenses, drug violations. You guys must handle thefts in-house because we don't have any thefts reported here. Terroristic threats, weapons violations, a lot of welfare checks. And then just suspicious activity around the area. One of the big things, I've been to multiple ESU meetings with County Attorney Rebecca Harling. One of the huge things that the administration faces in all the area schools is truancy. Before they can report on truancy, they have to send a teacher or administration to the home to try and make contact with these individuals to see why they're not sending their kids to school. For, you know, Ms. Hibner or Ms. Sam Pavelka, you know, they would have to go to that home alone, or unless they thought it was something seriously dangerous, then they would contact us for a standby. But it would be a huge help, I know, to all area schools. They had SROs just in that That's kind of a brief rundown. I'm here to take all the questions and concerns that you guys have.
Would you, now, are you building out a vehicle for the first to be dedicated to this SRO? Is that a brand new one or is that coming on to a used one?
So a brand new vehicle, just the cost of cruiser is roughly around 43,000.
Mhm.
This year, for instance, North Platte has worked out with us that we can buy one of the used ones back. It was actually the lieutenant's pickup. And they're offering that back to us for 20,000.
Okay, that's what I was, okay.
And then after that, we're all in talks with my administration, with Sheriff Kramer and Lieutenant Newton. On just trying to keep that rotation so that when a good vehicle that we have had no problems with or anything like that, we'll keep it back, kind of roll over into SRO. SRO won't be out on patrol a lot.
That's why I
So,
was questioning whether we needed a new one, but that.
right, yep. But then it'll have to be somewhat of a decent vehicle because during those summer months, then they'll come back out.
Mhm.
So.
Mr. Bristol, have you been talking with Joel at Wallace?
No, I have not recently, no.
Okay.
If I can add to that,
Please.
I know Deputy Smith, he lives in Wallace, has kids in Wallace, and his wife works in school. He has been in contact with Joel. They threw out a number, could you cover 15,000 for the year?
Yeah.
And Joel didn't seem to have any issue with that. We haven't really discussed anything with them. So he was gonna go down to the board meeting tonight, talk with them a little bit. I provided him with this sheet of what it's gonna cost, rough, salary for step 7 deputy.
Mhm.
And he was gonna provide that to them and see what they would, how many days they would want one a month, or what they could afford on cost sharing with you guys. A lot of the issue, we've had interest in the SRO program now, because when I made the press release at the commissioners meeting that we had funds available, everybody come and play. And that's no fault of theirs. I mean, we're working on a fixed budget. It's just trying to work with everybody and. go from there.
Because we had approached other schools and like I say, they were really, really interested, then all of a sudden it went away.
And we've approached the SRO program. This is the 3rd time. And I think Sergeant Kirk was actually this last time. I kind of given up on it because after 2 times, everybody just said, nah, we can't do it. It went about 2 years. Sergeant Kirk and Sergeant Meyer approached it, and then that's when someone showed interest enough to try and apply for a grant. So.
I think it's worth looking into with Sharon with Wallace, because I think, you can corroborate together what works, what doesn't work, if they are interested. I think, we can learn a lot of stuff from each.
For this cost, that gives SRO availability for 5 days a week during the school year, or?
Yeah, we don't have a contract laid out yet or anything like that, but we're looking at, we do private security for you guys for proms, homecoming, other dances. If there's football games, I know I have personally worked one with Hershey where it's very contested and contentious. And we've had 2 deputies sit outside the football game. That would be available to you guys. SRO would adjust their schedules if you guys have an event going on. It wouldn't be 100% set, the 8 to 4 school day. If you guys have like prom coming up, then they would not get just off a couple hours every day. That way they could be there for the prom. And that would, the SRO will work very closely with your guys' administration on what needs were being held that day, so that week.
I think some of the benefits to, one is it puts an officer in our community during the day, all day, which isn't necessarily the case.
Right.
So if there were an emergency, bank robbery, something happened at the grocery store, we have an officer in Sutherland, which I think is important, and we talked about that too, that obviously if there's a major event in town, they would leave to go deal with that unless school safety was a concern. But I think that benefits our community. And then the other piece I think is really important. When we did the culture and climate survey, there was a lot of comments about mental health, about student behavior, and just a lot of, I think we all saw the theme was, that was a big theme, and, I just can't say enough how much an SRO is really a resource, and it's not necessarily someone who is in here putting kids in handcuffs so much as when you have a family in crisis, they have the availability to get them access to things that sometimes no one else can get them access to. And I guess I've been blessed to work with one going on almost 18 years now, and it's, I don't know what we do in our building without it. And we're not, Sutherland's not North Platte, and I don't want to compare it to that, but there's still kids that are in tough spots. There's still kids that are in a bad way. And having someone in the building they can trust and go talk to, I do think is so important. And yeah, that's my spiel for it. I really think it's an impressive program. I know we don't do DARE anymore, and some of those other courses that we used to do. Having an SRO, I think that could be something you could bring back to work with kids on some of that drug and alcohol safety stuff, so.
And we've already, Maxwell asked Deputy McCoy, who's their safety liaison, to just do a presentation on seatbelt safety. He did a 30-minute thing. There at the school for an assembly, but my goal is to have them have more social media awareness with, just have assemblies on, the risk of social media, because kids, we get so many calls, and not usually at the school, it's usually at homes, but they're the youth with social media, either getting scammed or sending things they're not supposed to, how it gets out so fast, and then all other types of assemblies that they'd be required to do for part of their program. So.
Any more questions? Definitely, I think a lot of us are interested. I know that I was assuming the conversations with Wallace had been happening, so hopefully with tonight's meeting with them, maybe we can get some workability with them.
So where from
Cost
here?
sharing. Let's see what happens with that meeting last night. I know, Mr. Bristol, are you wanting to follow up? Do you want Brandy and Mrs. Hibner to follow up?
I can call Joel. I know him pretty well, just see what their interest is.
Okay. Can you have that conversation with him by next month, please?
Yes.
What kind of time frame are you
Yeah,
looking
I
at,
was
sir?
gonna touch on that. So, I have 3 applicants. We've already went through the application process of who is interested in our office. 3 good ones. We'll still have to have further with the sheriff. They just sent in their, intent letter to me. I think all 3 of them would do decent at the position. And then by June, there's a training in Denver in June and July. By August 3rd, I have to have an SRO, whoever we're gonna try and get. Even if we haven't settled everything 100%, we need to get them to an SRO training of 40 hours, which we will pick up on that. But just to stay in the guidelines of the grant, we have to have that done by August 3rd, or we'll lose our funding.
Now, was the applications for an SRO or is those internal applicants? Because at one time they thought it could be a possible recruiting tool.
Right, so it's kind of weird how they have it. It's our COPS hiring grant geared towards community policing, so we have to do something towards, and that's why we use the SRO side of it as community policing. So we'll actually use, because no one wants an SRO that's never been a cop before, and they're just out of the academy and have no idea what the rules are and everything. So it's kind of structured that we can move a seasoned deputy into that SRO program and then use the funds to replace on the backside with a new deputy to fill the street position on this. So, but yeah, I mean, we can, if we need more time, we're obviously our goal was to get it done by
Sooner than later.
August
Okay.
for the school year. You don't want to try and do it right in the middle of the school year. Obviously, then there's, I think your guys, this time frame is in July or middle of the year. So we kind of want to work around that too. That's how ours works. And then, but if I need to, I can do an extension to push it out to, get by more time, so.
No, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
I do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you very much. And, if you guys do have any other further questions, Brandy has my email address, shoot me an email. I'm going to nights tomorrow. Mine was supposed to be my first night shift, I adjust for this, so, but I won't be up there in the day, so if you have any questions or concerns,
Okay,
shoot me an email, and, yeah.
that sounds great.
Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to HC technology updates.
Was looking to get some new devices and I wanted to bring a real world example. Late last week, a student brought this to me and was having problems. And so I don't know if anybody's interested in looking at it, but this is an actual one that was brought in, and it just. There, 2015 is the date on that particular model. And they're in the 4th and 5th and 6th grade right now. And they're slow. I talked to him about restart and he says I already restarted 2 or 3 times a day. And the batteries are all in pretty poor shape. Buy a new battery for each one is going to be $50 a piece. So then you're just throwing good money after bad because you're just buying yourself a little time. I really think we've already gotten. We're probably 3 years past the replacement date on these. So I've been kind of doing some research and thinking about this for a few months now. I did get a quote here, which I'll hand out a quote so you can look at it. I made 3 copies. Sorry, I should have one. But when I initially asked for this quote, I asked for 3 grade levels, which would be next year 4, 5, 6, and 7. But after speaking with Ms. Pavelka and Ms. Hittner, we would only do 4, 5, and 6. So it would actually be 70 devices, not 85, or 60 devices. I'm sorry, 60 devices, not 85. So the total cost would be about 17,000. These are the one reason why we wanted to talk about this too, is these are Chromebooks and they're not MacBooks. They're not Apple products, they're Chromebooks. I wanted to get some feedback and see if that would be a problem for anybody. This particular manufacturer has given us, I think, a pretty good deal. The fact that they're willing to give us free 3-year accidental replacement with free shipping both ways. That's a crazy thing right there that I was not expecting. The Chrome management piece that they're willing to give us for free, that's usually about $35 per device normally. So you add all that up and they're giving us a really good deal in my opinion. If we bought 60 new MacBooks, about a year ago, the MacBooks shot up in price about 25%. They've come back down, I think, because MacBooks aren't selling that much as much anymore. I've heard that Apple even today is now, their sales are way down. But so the cost on the MacBook would be about the same as it was last time, $850, $900. We need to buy some management software to go with it. I don't know what that would cost. Just to make it might be less than 1,000, but for sake of comparison, if you looked at $1,000 a device, you'd be looking at 60,000 versus 17,000 for these.
I think we have teachers in here, since it's an agenda item, that they didn't want to weigh in too on that. Because I heard some scuffling going on in the back.
Right, and my understanding you're wanting, before we weigh in on all of this, is this is gonna start in the elementary or which grades and
This
this
would
would
be-
go up?
This would be 4th, 5th, and 6th. And my long-term goal, what I would like to do is we can't just give the 4th graders a set right now because the 5th and the 6th, they need to be replaced too. They're already way past their date. But I'd like to you can give each 4th graders would get a set every year. And that would take them up through, I'd like to think, the 8th grade. It'd be 4th, 5th, and 6th in-house, 7th and 8th grade, going home every day. And so that would give you a cost of what it would for a good device for that student for those 5 years. And then down the road, when these high school devices start aging out, 3, 4 years from now, 3 years, whatever it is, do the same thing, maybe get them a new device at 9th grade and then 10, 11, 12. This when I was at the, Ogallala Public Schools, I did something very similar. And then, where we had middle grade computers, and then we gave them a new one at the high school level. I guess I'm open to any questions. I'm pretty confident that they will do everything we need. Now, there's gonna be a few special applications. Like for instance, a plasma cutter. They say, well, we can't run the plasma cutter on a Chromebook. Well, that's fine. I can take a dedicated MacBook and leave it there by the plasma cutter. Or I have to have Photoshop. Well, we can have how many do you need? Have a cart or whatever, if that's really necessary. We go down that road and find out if there's really special computers that are needed, especially in the 4th, 5th, 6th grade level. I kind of doubt it. But this would be 4th, 5th, and 6th. That would get rid of these 2015 computers, get rid of all these.
So what is the lifespan you're expecting for these Chromebooks?
Well, if they're taken care of, I mean, in theory, they can go all the way through their senior year. But I'm just being realistic that we probably don't want to push them that far.
So if I understand you right, the MacBook is 3 times as expensive, right?
Right, and that's what I'm
So
thinking.
you're gonna get that, so you're gonna give them 2 new computers on the cycle,
Right,
saving a third.
and see, but I don't even really want to look at it that way, because if we give them a new MacBook at 4th grade level, I don't think the MacBook's gonna last either. I mean, it might last a year or 2 longer because it's metal. But you can't put updates on these anymore. They're passive. The thing that scares me too is with state testing. At some point, the state testing is just gonna stop working on these, and then we're gonna be scrambling. Because we won't have devices for state testing, and then we'll have, senior, high school students will have to loan elementary students their device or something to test on.
Is there anything that they'd be losing in the Chromebook as opposed to what they have in the Mac? Any technology, any ability, any?
Security?
Security is better on the Chrome. The security on the MacBook is a problem, to be honest with you. So the security actually is a benefit. The Chromebook is a huge weight off my shoulders. If you want the Chromebook. The MacBook, there's certain programs like, okay, I absolutely have to use Microsoft Excel or Word or PowerPoint. Because I don't want to use Google Slides or Google Sheets, Google Docs. But you can also use the Microsoft 365 now, which is their online product, which competes with Google. So, if you really had to have it, we could give them that. And we have those licenses that we charge. Like I said, if you had 3 students or 4, I did check yesterday, for example, the program iMovie, which allows students to go through and build put audio and video clips together and make a movie. I checked to see how many students had that installed, and it was a handful. It wasn't even that many, maybe 6. I don't even know if they're using it. So, but if you had a student that said, I really need iMovie, or I really need GarageBand, I don't know if you're familiar with these programs, but that type of thing, then we would say, well, we can look at alternatives, and there are ways to do those things on Chromebook. But I know change is hard. I know it's difficult. Every manufacturer of every curriculum or every product, their software is compatible with Chromebooks. Trust me, because there's millions and millions and millions of Chromebooks in this country right now, and they're the biggest player in the market. So they have to be compatible with them. So I don't really think there's any compatibility issues. It's just like I said, for example, if I need software on my laptop to use the plasma cutter, well, in that special use case, we can give them a MacBook or to that teacher or whatever. We figure out the best solution in that instance.
So what's it gonna be like if students have Chromebooks and the teachers still have MacBooks? That's probably gonna be an issue, isn't it, for sharing assignments or homework and stuff like that?
It's all. I don't think so. I can't think of any. I mean, unless you can think of a particular example, give me, or you just.
I was just curious.
No, I mean, and like I said, I don't want to talk about my own school, but all the teachers that have MacBooks and all the students K through 12 have Chromebooks, and they've been doing that. We've been doing that for a lot of years, and I don't think there's any issues that I know of. I mean, everything's in the cloud, so you can give your assignments. So much curriculum now in education is all in the cloud. It's all online. So you don't need a Windows computer or a MacBook computer to access it. To be honest with you.
Can teachers still see what the kids are doing on their computer?
There is it would be an add-on cost, there's a cost to allow, you know, do that. Be a cost, for a
Like
product.
college classes that have to have Microsoft Word and PowerPoint and that type of stuff. We use the computers for ASVAB and stuff, and I know when they come, they're like, oh, you don't have Chromebooks. So,
I guess I'm pretty confident in their ability, but also this is, you gotta remember, this is 4th, 5th, and 6th grade right now. This gets rid of an immediate issue. Once we do this for a year, those 7th and 8th grade ones they're 2017. So they would need to be replaced next year, but then we could revisit that conversation, say, okay, we had a whole year at the 4th, 5th, and 6th with these devices. Let's talk about it again, and you know, everybody can decide. I don't know if I care. I'm not saying we have to have Chromebooks, but I'm saying we need 60 devices, and it's 17,000 versus 60,000. And I am completely comfortable with Chromebooks. You're going to do everything that we need.
So you said the add-on that was just asked about for teachers to be able to see what the students are doing. Is that per computer, the add-on, or is it an add-on that's on the teacher's computer, her Mac, that can then?
It's a
Working.
product, and there's several companies that do that now. But you can buy the product and you log into their cloud interface, and what it is we would tie our student computers so that I won't get into the weeds, but then it kind of captures everything, and so a teacher can bring up their class, they can see all their students' computers, and if it was at the high school level where they move, it would automatically load in their next. At that time, it would load in the next period. They could then keep the students on task by saying, okay, I'm closing that tab. Okay, I'm locking yours so you can't see, or you know what I mean? They have very granular control
But
over.
again, is that a license per computer, or is it one massive license?
It's probably per computer. Well, it's per computer, but it would be a yearly cost. Those companies do it a yearly cost to be able to run it through their system and see. And so I don't know what the cost would be, because you know, with all of, they picked the most expensive one. And you know, there's twice as many students there. So they were spending, I don't know, 7,000 a year.
So would this be something, I've got some elementary teachers here, would this be something that he's talking about you would need for the 4th, 5th, and 6th graders?
Do they come with cases? Would they come with cases? Because a lot of the 4th graders, they're walking around just like that or on top of their head. And they are on the rack.
I don't wonder why.
By the screen.
I mean, we can get a sleeve for, you know, cost effective sleeve. I know, if you buy in bulk, you can get sleeves for $10, $11 a piece. That they can carry in. Because all the things, we still use the charging cards, correct? I mean, so we wouldn't need chargers, those type of things. You just need it for transport.
You got about 5 teachers out there that need to weigh in on this. I'm not saying.
Internet goes down because in past times with Chromebooks, you can't access anything if the internet goes down. On the MacBook, you can still access different things that are on there.
What can you access on the MacBook internet?
Like you can still have Microsoft Word, you can still have a lot of things. From what I've heard from other schools, if internet goes down with Chromebooks, you can't even log on to it.
There's offline mode, so you can still work with Docs. So there's offline mode, you can still do those things. I personally, I don't think that's, if the internet goes down, I think the MacBooks are gonna have just as much problem. And you brought up Microsoft. You know, when we had the business class, the first of the year, she, of course, she's no longer with us, that teacher, but I was helping, she decided she wanted to use the Microsoft products. And so every single student she had, I had to work with them one-on-one because none of them had ever used that before. So I don't know how many, I don't really know how many students actually use And when I asked them, I said, "Hey, do you know anybody use it? You use it for?" They say no.
Most college students, and in fact use it, but most college classes do require it now.
But there's, you know, like I said, there's offline mode, so they can still. So, and then when the internet comes back. it-
Which for elementary, it may be totally fine. I really don't wanna see Chromebooks in the high school, I guess personally. But elementary
And then-
might be fine.
And one of my concerns is, once they learn a platform, it's usually
Yeah.
stick with one platform. And my other question is with where we've had MacBooks for so long, do we have a contract with Apple with those computers for a certain amount of time or? Cause in the past, what we've done is buy Sony's like 2 new sets for 2 classes in the high school and then roll
Roll
down
down the.
the other ones. That's what we've done in the past.
I guess what I would suggest, is there a way that we can meet with the staff to get the questions and concerns before we jump on this? Because we do not want to shove anything down to just that, but I appreciate his financial
No, so do I.
fiduciary, I think, is like knowing what we can get for what we have with budget constraints. So I do really appreciate that, but we also don't need a revolt going on. And I think all those concerns too, because we've been dealing with that. Every computer technician, remember Mr. Molzon? Okay, may I say more about, okay, that was an issue. He tried to get it switched over. I
Yeah.
know several of them, I've heard it for years, even before I was on the school board, about the Apple versus the Microsoft and all that. I don't know anything about it, but I know it's always been a discussion where somebody's been trying. So I think it'd be great to have a coalition visit the pros and cons before we actually force this. But I really do appreciate the cost saving, looking at that, because it makes a big difference. You could get 3 times the amount of hardware, so what do you call that?
I think also one thing we need to think about, and we've talked to other school districts who use Chromebooks. And other school districts that use we have a lot of programming that. The kids use online, like my whole CPM math is, they use online stuff every day. I know their language arts programs are online. And see like. Schools that have Chromebooks, are they running well on those? Because you do hear teachers say, our Chromebooks just. Like they say they'll run it, but is it running it well? Before we switch completely over, because we're having more problems than.
And I appreciate the fact that I know that these are old computers. If they're more than
Yeah.
a few years old, they're old.
They're almost 10 years old.
Yes, that's,
But I mean, I don't think a Chromebook's gonna make it 10 years
Yeah.
either, so that's the,
Probably not.
yeah.
So, but like I said, that cost, you could go through a couple Chromebooks, and it's, one thing I'll touch on, one last thing is about cost, and by the way. Oh, this is maybe a side point, but I know in Ogallala, I pushed pretty hard for Chromebooks, and it was a year-long process to, to get that even started, and it was a very difficult process, and a lot of emotions, a lot of, because change is difficult, and the thing I'll say about a high school student comes to me and says, my screen's broken, I say, okay, you owe me $307. That's a lot of money. The Chromebook comes to me, it's cracked, I can stick another one in myself for $40. You know, they're easy to, and. Like I said, I've been dealing with Chromebooks, I was one of the first schools to adopt Chromebooks, in Oklahoma. I started doing it, I don't know, 10 years ago. And I just, in my experience.
you'd say after the bumps got out, they were happier.
I don't think there was bumps. I think it was more just that before we deployed them, there was a lot of trepidation, a lot of frustration. You're given cheap devices, all you care about is money, you don't care about the students, you don't care about curriculum, all you care about saving money. That was the tone. And so it was a long process. It took about a year before finally I was able to get him in. And once I got him in, everybody's like, yeah, that's fine. It was fine. So I understand the change are, I mean, I just need 60 new computers. So if we want to spend 60,000, that's fine. I'll swap them out.
Hey, Brad,
Yeah,
would you talk about repair of Mac versus the Chrome?
well, and like I said, the MacBooks, if you were to buy that accidental damage with a Mac, they're only gonna give you 1 year. They're not gonna give you 3. And that 1 year is gonna cost you $200 a device, $250 a device. It's crazy. So then you're looking at $1,200 a computer. Whereas these, you know, you're getting that, they're easy to fix. The screens on the non-touches are universal, so it doesn't matter what model of Chromebook you have, whether it's a Dell or Acer or Lenovo, you can swap them out. I can save old computers and swap them out, like I said, you know. 30-40 bucks a screen is what I was charging. Whereas here, it's, you know, it's over 300. So. It just, and it's, but it's not just all cost. I guess what I'm saying is cost is part of the equation, absolutely. But the Chromebooks, in my opinion, do everything it needs to do, except certain instances where we could find solutions to those as we go forward. But if we don't go with Chromebooks, that's up to you guys. Then we can spend 60 and get some MacBooks, or we can not get anything, try to fight through another year with these.
Could you send us like an estimate if you started to do that transition into elementary of Chromebooks and then shifted some of the newer computers around? Like, is that something you could maybe send us, like what that would look like if we just, like listening to the staff talk about maybe elementary, it might be okay, but if you get into high school, could we get some numbers on that to kind of understand what that transition would look like? Because it sounds to me like if we purchase them now, it's starting a transition from Apple to Chromebooks. Right? That's kind of the decision we're making.
Well, and the high school students they have the newest ones. I think there's a 2022. So, you know, maybe 3 to 4 years down from the road, when, from now we say, well, we gotta replace those, but we can just buy, you know. If we start Chromebooks at 4th, 5th, 6th, that doesn't mean we have to.
That doesn't mean they have to go with them, of
Of
course.
course, right, I mean,
Okay.
we could still do the, you know, Chromebooks 4 through, and that same student would carry it. A big reason in Oklahoma too, why I really liked it was accountability. You give a student a Chromebook, he's got it, nobody else uses it, it's brand new. You can't say, well, it's like that when I got it. So it was, you know, the students were very accountable for everything. So I enjoy, you know, that was good on me too, but, and they're easy to work on. I could fix a Chromebook in 15 minutes. They're not as, you know, people think, oh, it's just a cheap device. But they're not as, yeah, it's not as bad as what the stigma is, I guess.
Where are we? I was just curious, what year are we in?
We'll do our last payment next year, so then we would start a new lease
New
in
lease.
25.
So we have next year and then we'll be getting requests to roll down. So,
I think it's worth the discussion. I do again appreciate that. Because bottom line is there needs to be 60 new computers here by when? If it was a perfect world,
Well, if it was Chromebooks, I'd like to get them in immediately. That way, at least I'd have a few weeks to put them in place and get a little,
Mhm.
you know, feedback from teachers right now, but it'd be over the summer.
do we need 60 like right now? I mean, is it, I'm playing devil's advocate too. Because I was a 6th grade teacher for years and years and years, so I was getting these rolled down computers. And only maybe have 1 or 2 that kids would have trouble with, not.
Well, and that's up to you guys. Yes, like I said, our 3 options are Chromebooks or MacBooks or nothing. So I just want to kind of start the conversation. What you guys want to.
so would you work with the teachers and get the pros and cons from them and see that and then come back and then what we'd have to as add-ons and all those options, because yeah, it sounds like this needs done sooner than later.
And
But you gotta have buy-in as well.
And I'd love to look at leasing options too, because if you're leasing something, it might actually cost. I don't know what that lease cost would be.
So if you want to compile all of that information for the next meeting, we'll just go ahead and table this until the next meeting.
I guess you need to tell the administrators that the school board asked you to work with and get the input from the teachers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's go
Thank you.
to the 8D, which is the Heart Saver course. Mr. Bristol, would you like to talk a little bit about that?
I contacted MPCC and the guy I spoke to said, hey, his name was Jeremy Condon. He said, hey, I would recommend this course. And if you scroll down on the document, there is a lot of stuff that's covered. And if you look at the categories that are covered, that's what a school goes through on probably a weekly basis. And it's $65 to do it.
So is this for staff only?
You can make it for whoever you want to, I guess.
Well, no, I was just, it said 65 per student, and I'm guessing they meant student as meaning a staff member.
Right, so, yeah,
Student,
Probably student at MPCC.
yeah, not our students. This is coming in with where either the EMR was, I was talking about trying to get some training for anybody who wanted to go through the EMR. Mr. Bristol found this instead. And it says it's a 6-hour long course. If we get, it says a minimum of 4, a maximum of 8 students per, or teachers per course, but I think at 6 or 8, they'll actually come out here to our school and do the training, and so nobody would have to drive to North Platte. When we look through that, the stuff that it covers is fantastic. Kyle, do you want to step up here for a second? And you went through the EMR training, correct?
Yeah, I did EMR for my board certification.
Do you want to look at this list, please, and tell me what's your EMR and what this is covering?
Yeah, all those are covered in the emergency medical responder course, a lot on the. Seizures, strokes, wound management. How to splint sprains, broken bones. Burns, yeah, I mean, all that's touched on in that EMR course.
So it'd be very comparable is what I'm hearing you
Yeah.
say potentially.
Topic wise, I don't know how deep they go into.
How long was your EMR training?
It was a 20-hour free coursework, and then it was a 2-day, 8-hour long each day.
So
With
16 hours,
36 hours,
36 hours
Yeah.
in okay, total.
20 hours.
Right, for
Outside.
free, and then 16,
16
yeah, that's
outside.
what I said.
Yeah.
So board, this is coming back to that EMR where I was, yeah, thank you guys. Trying to come up with ways to have the EMR prepared. This is definitely a lesser than the EMR. As we said, he went through the EMR, the EMR is what the cops go through. What is the board's thought? Do we want to investigate more on the actual EMR? Or maybe offer this, at least provide some training if we have staff that would like to go through it. At $65, I don't see where we would have to even limit the number of staff that would like to take this and at least have some training on all of this.
This would be beneficial at home, let alone at the school.
well, here's my question though, a couple of things. One is some of these trainings are required per state statute, so I would want to know first. Does this training fit the requirement in state statute, or would people then have to go through the senior training again?
Everything. Mr. Bristol?
I'd have to look into it.
Did anyone talk to Annette Kennedy?
Yeah, that was my second question, because usually the nurse does, because to me, like the CPR AED, that's almost a full day training, so.
We just did CPR. training as a
CPR.
staff. And I think it was probably about $40 a person.
And I know Annette talked about doing some additional training. So I don't want us to be double paying.
Exactly, and I would agree with that.
I'm sure there's some of this stuff that they could, with the topics they could not do and focus on the rest that they.
I think we probably need to hear from the nurse on what, because also she's gonna know what's gonna be approved through state statute too. Cause I'd hate for people to go through this and then we find out, well, it's not approved.
So they have to.
And then they're going through another training that is approved that's covering the same topics. That would be my concern.
We'll table this some more. Mr. Bristol, again, can you double check all of that, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
We still have to do our factor training for insurance purposes.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on to 8E, the marquee sign, Mr. Bristol.
We had a company come by and look at our marquee, we thought, what the heck, let's just see what it's going to cost. So the two marquees are down towards the bottom. And their sizes are there as well, and I guess I'll leave it up to the board, just what they would like to do with this.
So it's showing a 5x10 at 47,767 and a 4x8 at 35,936. And my understanding is our current marquee is not working. Is that correct?
Tori can answer, it's correct, Tori can answer it better than I can.
Yeah, the current marquee, and there's no technology available to fix that. It's actually an LED board. You know, it used to have the red letterings. I did buy lamps for it, and I'm going to donate and fix the sign that says Sailors to make it look nice, but as far as having wording on it is beyond technology. Actually, the village of Sutherland and the Hershey are in the public. Sutherland schools bought that as a share. Right, 20 years ago now. And I figured it'd cost between $40,000 to $60,000 to do something like that. You know, on a 4x8, that's a sheet of plywood on the side of the board.
Yeah.
You know, in my opinion, it's too much money for what we would get out of it, because I mean, it's nice to have. There's a lot of communities that are actually putting them on their highways. You know, as you come into town, a lot of schools have them there, but it's a huge expense, and like I say, it's going to last what, 5, 10, 15 years. You know, the scoreboards are going to that, you know, $50,000, $60,000 to have that. So I mean, I think this would be more of a nice to have, and we've got a lot of money being spent on, you know, if budget wasn't an option, I think it's a no-brainer. But that's just my opinion. It's too much money for what we would get out of it. And how many people actually will sit there and stare at it for all the ads to come across. I guess if somebody else feels different, don't let me bully on this one, but that's just, I've hooked them up. I've hooked dozens of them up. And Paxton, they have a big one. Theirs is probably it's probably 6x12. And we've had a lot of problems with it. It took a lot to get it going. Now it's been pretty good. And it does take a pretty good technician to work on them. And I've been on speakerphone with them and the technician there for hours trying to get it to get working. So it's not just plug and play.
I agree. I think we've got to worry, we got that unfunded mandate of our shot clocks, that's gonna be 25,000. I feel like we have a lot of expenses right now, and it's the want, not a need.
I appreciate them looking at it. It should have been an option, but I guess I'll get the sign on this out in the yard at least lit up so it says Sutherland Sailors, because the plastic's in really good shape. It's just unfortunate the technology doesn't exist to make the scrolling.
It's at least 22 years.
22,
I was gonna say, it's, because it was someone was for me.
right? I was on the village board when we got that as a cost share. We used Keno funds to help pay for it, and the agreement was it's supposed to have city village wording on it too. I don't think that ever happened, but oh well.
I think we tried for a while, yeah,
Mhm.
and then it just. Like, I used to be able to do it, and then pretty soon Mr. Maxey had to do it because of the technology, and yeah.
Okay. So if we don't have a motion to approve, we'll just keep going and it will die with no motion. Next item is 8F, snow days, school dismissal, Mr. Bristol.
Right now, teachers are on contract for 140 days. They put in 183 days. The last day for teachers was May 17th. The students, elementary and both high school, have enough hours according to Rule 10 to get out on the 15th at 11:30.
And that is what was originally on the calendar, the master calendar, correct?
That is correct.
So
Said they have enough hours?
Yes.
Oh, because the agenda says currently our student hours have not been met.
Well, they will be met if we don't have another snow day. So we'll have to cross that bridge if it happens. But the April board meeting is when after the board has to make a decision on the snow days.
And so the teachers are short one day, and that's because of a snow day, correct?
Correct.
As of when? My understanding, you're saying they have 183 days now or will as of the 17th?
Will as of the 17th.
184.
50.
So pending no more snow days, they're just one short as of now, right?
Correct, of their contract days.
Of the contract days.
Okay.
Well, I've said it all along. I know things have changed since the olden days. But, and I understand why we've had to in the past. We've had bad things happen on ice. But there's been some times where there's been a snow day and it didn't need to be, but they like to call them ahead of time now. It's a different world than it used to be. School, never got called off until they called school board members who lived in the country the morning of. If my dad could get to the mailbox or down there, and then it was just country kids usually. So, I don't know what the perfect answer in there, but I guess I would like to move not to have the teachers make up one day in their contract. I don't know how the wording needs to be.
The motion is.
I didn't see a motion.
It's the,
Move
so
on.
was the 17th already the scheduled last day for teachers?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
So I don't understand, we're just making a motion to keep everything the way it is.
yes,
Because the motion is to keep the 17th as the last day for teachers.
right. So we'd have a motion to keep the last day for the. students.
Okay, in the past, we voted specifically not to make the makeup day.
Well, that's been part of that. That's what that motion is saying, is we're not making
Okay.
them make up that day, because we're gonna allow them to keep the 15th for the students and the 17th for the
Okay.
teachers.
I know it was worded different though. Okay, so I will move that the last day of students is May 15th at 11:30 a.m. And I will also move that the last day of the teacher be May 17th.
A first and a second, any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Mueller,
Yes.
Chad Leonard, Roy Copeland,
Abstain.
Tom Kelly,
Yes.
Eric Paterka,
Yes.
Randy Busher, yes.
Okay, motion carried. Let's move on to the EV charger, Mr. Bristol, that's 8G.
Oh, this has been fun because I've tried to get NPD to help me, and they sent me the broadest example that you could find. And I went and dug out a more specific example. If the EV charger is something you want to do.
Mr. Bristol, I'll just say, MPPD on this last has been absolutely zero help. As a matter of fact, they've been in the way on this. They haven't got back to us. They give you the broad range of $1,000 to $20,000. Heck, I could have got that for you. So I guess it'd be my opinion that we let this go unless they want to step up to the plate. They don't return phone calls. As you know, 30 days later, and they show up at a school board meeting. So I would move to table indefinitely the EV charger.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Basically, that kills it. Okay,
Yep.
any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Chad Leonard,
Yes.
Roy Copeland.
Yes.
Tom Kelly.
Yes.
Eric Paterka.
Yes.
Randy Busher, yes. Janet Mueller.
Yes, motion carried.
Of course, if they want to play ball, I guess they could come back always and do it, but I'm tired of dealing with them.
Okay,
Waste
next
of
item
time.
is 8H, the thermal imaging facility advocates. And they kind of go 8H and 8I kind of goes together. So Mr. Bristol, start with the thermal imaging, please.
When they came out to present the project, the door project, he said, your board may want to do thermal imaging. And thermal imaging would be of the doors, and that is 2,500. Personally, I don't know if it's necessary, but I thought I would present it to the board to see if that's something they want to look into.
$2,500 from to bring the camera and just look at the doors?
To see if there's any leaks or anything to them.
Is that after they're done fixing
Well,
them?
yeah, they're coming to,
Yeah.
Come to the North Gym on a cold day.
Yes, sir.
I don't know that benefit.
No. Nope.
So let's go straight into 8I door project. Mr. Bristol?
Here they broke the doors down, as if a cafeteria plant. So you can decide, exterior door project. It's not opening up on my end. Can you guys open it up? Because they had the cafeteria plan of the doors that you wanted. One was for downstairs in the locker room, one was the room where the scrubber is. Mine is not opening for some reason.
Yeah, I can get mine open.
Yeah.
It costs a lot more than I thought it would. Do you agree, Mr. Bristol?
Okay, mine just opened up.
You know, we are at the point though on some of these doors, we don't have a lot of choice. Like I said, the north doors are blowing snow in on our gymnasium floor.
So my understanding, Mr. Bristol, is the bid for 67,790 will take care of all exterior doors. Is that correct?
Price, exterior doors, yes, and that's not, underneath that is alternate price for the wrestling room door.
Yes.
The connection. Stand,
The 67.
stand door. So yeah, 67,700, if I'm reading that correctly, or 790 would be for all the doors.
Just
Exterior.
Exterior.
Mhm.
And then for the wrestling room door,
Those are
they're
all
pricing
interior.
53.90. For the concession stand, closet door would be 64.50. And the basement pump door would be 69.90.
Yeah, cause they did do some concrete cutting on a concession stand.
Right. You gotta remember on like down there, the pump room door, somebody's put a piece of plywood up over
Oh,
it.
it's
So to
fine.
get in there, you gotta take screws to get into a room out. That's,
Randy, what your question?
I just
you do that on a
was
ranch.
thinking out loud of, do you take your worst couple and go year by year, or, I mean, this just seems like.
And I don't know, I agree. It's a lot more. I thought 30,000 is where I had my fingers crossed and it's more than double.
Yeah.
These are not easy to do. It's a total different, I mean, it is not your house. It is concrete, brick, steel, and glass. And as everybody knows how bad they, you know,
So they went out, so please refresh me, guys, on this. Facility advocates, they went out and got bids from all of these different places, or just one.
I think this is their bid.
This is their bid.
they had one guy that they have do doors usually, but there's not a lot of people do that. I guess the other option will be up if we deny this. We're gonna have to go send somebody out to get some local North Platte contractors to come out and look at these and doing a few doors at a time if they can do them, and if they can do them right. Yeah, I guess I'll just be blunt now. I'm not gonna vote for the 67,000 plus the options tonight. But we have to do something. We do not have a choice. We cannot have snow blowing in on $100,000 gym floor.
So like Randy made the comment, is there any way we can, just like we're doing the air conditioners?
Yes,
One year we do a couple of doors, the worst doors, and then the next year we come in and do another set of doors.
Mr. Bristol, would you be okay if this gets shot down, which I'm guessing it will, if I got on the phone tomorrow with my contacts in North Platte to see what they say, to come out and look at a few of them?
No, I think that's prudent practice.
Was this a lot more money than you thought or you were expecting to, as superintendent?
It is because they don't replace a lot of the doors, they replace a lot of the suites and they adjust them.
Right.
So it was a lot more than I anticipated.
I mean, if we were, originally there's gonna be a lot of replacement. Now, there are some that have to be replaced. They're rotted out, they've rusted. They're, you know, down there in the old, here's going, the exterior going the stairs, you know, where the old weight room was. They are rotted away. The north gym, north doors, those have to be replaced or fixed beyond measure right now. I mean, there is half-inch gap of daylight. You all teach here know that, correct? They had snow drifts on it again, on the gym floor.
So when I'm looking at this. There's only two that they're furnish and install new door frames.
Right, it's two new ones and then repair and adjust and all that.
Some of the other ones.
Yeah, it's,
I think we need to see if there's other bids out there.
That's where I'm at.
so if we take no action, it just, that, and then I can get on the phone and start
Yeah,
tomorrow.
we'll take no action.
Okay.
It dies if we don't table it for the
Okay.
next meeting. It just.
I'm not willing to pull the plug to kill it yet on that, I guess, totally, but at least
We
leave
want
it
to
option.
table it till next month.
Okay, yes,
So
I'll
we'll
move the
table
table,
it.
I'll move the table to the door project until the next regular meeting.
7,000 for the basement door. That's great.
I'll second that.
But again, so, okay, now discussion, we gotta do some of that. Throwing a piece of plywood up over a door that used to have hinges is not a solution to
Right.
how we're supposed to fix a facility.
And I get that,
That's like if a window gets kicked out, we just put a piece of plywood over it.
but if you can reach out to some of your
I will,
I'll
I'll
contacts
start tomorrow.
and,
$1,000.
yeah.
I know stuff's expensive, and I know the doors are expensive, they are,
Not if they're not putting a new door.
right.
We need to do our prudent.
There's
due diligence.
probably for a set of double doors, you're probably $3,000 to $4,000 sitting there in the box, laying there on the ground, but they're not, like, say, replaceable.
Okay, vote please, roll
Lori
call.
Copeland,
Yes,
Tom Kelly,
Yes.
Eric Paterka,
Yes.
Randy Busher, yes, Janet Mueller,
Yes,
Chad Bennett.
motion carried. Let's go to 8J natural gas.
hello,
Janet, before you move on, if, they can scroll down to the aerial view of the numbered doors. Are you guys looking at what I'm looking at?
Yep, I saw that.
okay, yep,
Okay, the proper way to number your doors is your main entrance is 1. And then you go counterclockwise of all doors that have access to the building. RC is in the process of getting us 4-inch reflective numbers that we will put on the building. And then scrape off the other ones like Northwest 2 and Northwest 1. And so this is the correct way to do it.
and you verified that with the fire marshal, correct?
I verified it with, I'll double check on that. I verified it with several websites when I looked up fire doors and so on and so forth.
Cause they,
I'll double check.
please do that, cause you said you were gonna check with the fire marshal, and they did just relabel those, but like I told Mr. Bristol, I've been to 5 different schools and not one labels their doors the same, not one.
So yeah, so
Some are all numbers.
Renumbered them about 3
Right.
years ago.
There, it's confusing.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Mr. Bristol, if you can call the fire marshal, that would be awesome. Thank you. Let's go on to 8J natural gas bid, Mr. Bristol.
Okay, natural gas bid opened on the 9th of April. And it closes on the 24th. I'm getting back to it here. So I called the gas companies and I asked them, I said, are these locked in for the period, the 9th through the 24th? And they said, oh, no, these change all the time. I thought, well, that's insane. So if the board would make a motion to ask me to lock in the lowest price on a 1-year, 2-year, or 3-year gas bid, I would get on that when I get back there.
Didn't we do that last year? Did we lock in for how many years?
That was 2 years ago. That was my that was 2 years ago.
2 years, and we locked in for 2, so we are up now, correct?
Correct.
Okay, correct, Alicia.
Okay, so do I have a motion to authorize Mr. Bristol to
Lock in.
negotiate and lock in the lowest price?
For how many years? 2?
1, 2, or 3, whichever one he can get the best price out of.
I will move.
I got a first, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Tom Kelly,
Yes.
Eric Paterka,
Yes.
Randy Busher, yes, Janet Mueller,
Yes.
Chad Bennett.
Yes.
Lori Copeland.
Yes,
Motion carried. Okay, let's go to 8, you gotta get faster, come on.
I'm usually in.
Chop, chop. 8K
You didn't
is
vote for
policy
me, so-
reviews. No, I didn't vote for you, see? Policy review is, do I have them? They're all as presented, so do I have a motion to approve the listed policies as presented that are listed there? Got the first, do I have a second?
Second.
I got a second, any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Eric Paterka.
Yes.
Randy Busher, yes, Janet Mueller,
Yes.
Chad Bennett. Lori Copeland,
Yes,
Tom Kelly.
Okay, motion carried. 8. L is weight room discussion. Brandy, please.
are you their liaison?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, first off, I want to say how positive the fish fry, with the community was. They donated over $5,000 for the weight room. Special thanks to Andy Scott and his crew for cooking the food, Ken and Renee for donating the fish, and we're in the beginning phases. We're gonna call this Project Strength in Numbers. Mr. Mortimer, the football coach, has reached out. And he's gotten, this is the bid that he's gotten. It's the first one we've gotten. So he's kind of doing the legwork on that. Our idea behind it is to replace all the outdated equipment in there. from my understanding, a lot of this equipment was built by students 30+ years ago, so it's very outdated. And just bring it more up to date, more user friendly. The thought behind these stations that I passed around, if you can look on the blueprint kind, is to kind of allow the kids to be in one place and not mingling around and talking and not getting their work done and lifting weights like they're supposed to be. Again, these are the beginning phases. We welcome any guidance from the board. I know North Platte has an outstanding weight room. Hershey's putting one in, and maybe we can just, bounce ideas and see what we need. But I just know that this improvement is very important to our students. I know a lot of staff members use it, community members use it. Adam and I both have wrote a grant. He wrote one from the foundation.
Yes.
And I wrote a betterment grant, and Brandy helped me. And we're just still continuing to try to brainstorm ways to raise money to help.
So this
Bring this.
64,000, that's just the weight equipment. That's not the mats and this and what.
Right.
I mean, so we're talking another $30,000 for the rest of the stuff.
Do all the mats need replaced?
They don't need replaced, because underneath the mats, there's holes in the floor where there's pivots. And the mats are not even able to butt up against each other and fold over.
You're talking those mats. How about the mats that are, do we have mats on the exterior walls?
We don't have any.
At one time, they said they wanted those too.
Right, and the drywall is gonna be out now, need replaced really bad. Well, possibly,
Here's some maintenance. Mr. Hudson kind of came up with a list of other maintenance that would need to take place in there. It needs a deep cleaning and a fresh base.
Remember, the water fountain was a big debate with the previous superintendent. I remember that.
So are there other companies that you can get bids from on this equipment?
This is just where he reached out. I think he has a friend that works with that company, but like I said, we could ask the Platte to see where they got their equipment. Hershey's putting in a new one right now, and
Hershey's doing similar. They started sending letters out for donations. I got one, of course.
This company did give them a good discount.
Yeah,
Yes.
it looks like $25,000 worth of discount so far, so.
So the way I'm looking, this whole project is $100,000 minimum. To do it if we did it right
Right.
and new mats like it should be for a safety reason. I mean, that was. I was said, why don't we move it back down into the basement where it was?
Handicap.
You gotta, yeah, I was gonna say.
What?
Unless you're gonna put in an elevator or
Yes.
something.
part of that cost on there too is everything is personalized.
Yes,
So
it's
if
like
you went-
top notch.
If you
We went
wanted to
way
cut
up.
cost, you could get the same product with just a neutral, black, white, red, whatever. And that
These are
might save
customized,
you
they
some
say
money.
sailors
Everything's
and-
got an anchor on it, sailors on it, like it's personalized to something. So that cost is, I mean, you can ask them to give you a cost without that on there and see what the difference might be to you.
What do you guys, what is the thoughts of the fundraising since they started this? What time frame are you, what's the goal? Is this a year? Is it, how long is? What was the hope
Yeah,
when we
we've got
started?
students here right now that need to get stronger.
Mhm.
I mean, quite honestly, there's a lot of liability concerns in that weight room. I mean, the dumbbell rack isn't, I mean, it was made in a shop class, and so it doesn't actually fit our dumbbells. So if you go set a dumbbell on there, it shifts. I personally smashed my fingers in there before, I mean.
Well, if there's anything that's safety, they should take it out of service.
Right.
So throw it in the admin pile.
Then we don't have a weight room, we don't have, if you wanna do that, then.
And, a lot of the dumbbell fragile. You get
It's
those
one of your
stuff over your
biggest
head and one falls off, I mean, that's a safety concern. I mean, there's a lot of things in there that just. They need to be taken out and fixed and.
Keeping in mind, like when Brandy and I worked on, we did it, that betterment grant, the community uses the weight room, it's, you can buy a key, and so it benefits, again, the entire community to update that weight room. It's not just for the students and staff.
I would be 100% in favor of getting this done if it's just for the students. I agree, but again, that's where we're at.
Don't ask me.
I mean, yeah, it's, you got $100,000 project, and I believe that this board of the school should be on some of the costs, but I think there should be fundraising too, like they're doing.
If you had a,
But it's,
any of their numbers across here, none of them add up, none of them match, none of them add up. And I'm just curious.
Well, is it because there's like quantity for?
Yeah.
Like, is that-
6919 times 4,
Four minus.
that's 28 grand, minus 4,900 is not 19,750.
Remember, we have the financial advisor and 3 bankers.
Well, the top one, yeah, the top one right there shows 19,750 and it should be 7,926. If you take out the discount.
Yeah.
There's the cost unless they're not.
They might have
unless-
taxes in there,
Let me do this, 6919.
but I just, all the ones I checked on.
Let's try to take it.
4 times 4.
Well, and see, it's, oh, okay, I see what they're doing.
Yeah, because there's, you gotta do that.
They're just doing, I was doing per item.
Oh, yeah. The 4,000 is the cost.
Yeah, but see, that is coming up with 22,387,385. It's, this one's to the better, but yeah.
Well, I think that it's safe to say we're supportive of the project.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If there may be some stuff that we have to, as a board. That needs to come out of school budget to fix and address. When you talk about drywall.
We also need to get somebody, a contractor in to get a bid, right? Why don't we do that?
As far as repairing.
Yeah, the walls, the floors, all that
I
ceiling.
think the drywall has to be repaired, and then in order for that to last, then they gotta put a mat on it to keep it otherwise, or something, or.
Well, that's fine, but let's get to work.
Corey, would you like to, Mr. Bristol and Corey, would you guys like to work together and get a contractor in there and see what the actual repairs
There's for the
of,
infrastructure, the rest of
Yes.
the, now the mats, the outside mats, the weights, that's, that's gonna be what this stuff costs, or somewhere
Right.
else, but as far as the infrastructure, yes, I will work with Mr.
that's
Bristol.
what I mean.
Get that
Yes.
done, but it's not gonna do any good to repair the drywall unless, or whatever, unless we have a
Well,
true weight
and-
room finish.
Brandy, can you work with somebody and find out what those wall mats cost, please?
Or maybe, is that what they do? I don't even know what do they buffer a weight room with, Kyle? Or does anybody know do they put mats on,
It's like stall mats.
stone mats, hang the whole way around? Is that what they are? Or is it just cement walls?
Usually it's cinder block.
Okay,
I mean, most gyms that have your strength and conditioning equipment in it have like a cinder block wall. There's like either an anchor point or, yeah, where your dumbbells and weights are gonna be dropping.
well, there might be brick behind all of those walls, if I'm not
And
mistaken.
the outside walls are fine, like the ones that are outside the building, those are all cinder block, but.
See, the inside walls though were an outside wall before the addition, that's a brick, so. That would be the red, black, yes. What?
I said, I think all sides are because it was added on to an exterior wall.
So that was an add-on and an add-on. Part of it was an 89 edition, and then they had a 95 edition for those technology rooms, that's what those 2 rooms are. Or distance learning, whatever you call them. Okay, so we'll look at that.
And then-
Tear the walls down there and call it good.
Would you also get a bid that isn't personalized equipment?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you for your work that you've done on this. This is not easy either. Once again,
Who do we need to talk to for that?
I would just say, if you get a bid to the same company, and I would say it's probably, I would get a bid to a couple of different.
Yeah.
That's what I would like to see too, is between several.
To Hershey and ask where.
You guys go ahead and work on that
Okay.
project, yes.
Okay.
If you reach out to diversity, Jordan, I need to probably tell you what the button is.
So would you like to come back next month and give us updates? As we keep going through this?
I'll
Okay.
be with Mr. Bristol when he's not under the weather and he's non-contagious. We'll go look at it.
Okay.
Could we work with Hershey and possibly get a bigger discount if they knew they had 2 weight rooms?
You wanna check into that, Randy?
Yeah.
You got connections down there.
Make sure to get acres and red.
Yeah, but we all have to deal with blue.
So, anyway, okay, we're going to table this until next month. Let's go on to 8N, which is resignations, and there's no resignations. 8N is option students, and there's none there. So then we go on to reports. 9A is elementary principal report. They are attached. I'm not gonna read through them. And the same with the high school report. Board reports. Does any of my board members have anything that they would like to report on? Hearing none, Mr. Bristol, the superintendent's report.
if you could scroll to the bottom of my report, I've attached 2 pictures. I'm gonna give RC and Mr. Gunderson
Let's
credit.
check this out.
I wish I would have thought of it, but they said the board block half.
Hold on, Mr. Bristol. It said it left the board, or Alicia said we're not in the meeting. Can you pull it up?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
you got,
right here, it's paperweight.
oh, okay.
I gave you a copy.
Oh, you did? Oh. There it is. Okay, I guess, but anyway, the computer just went down.
Oh.
Okay, Mr. Bristol, we're ready.
Nice that the railroad did not work. Or wouldn't work for the railroad, so they ended up pulling right down the middle. I'm guessing we gained 20 to 25 stalls. And then the next picture down was an inaction of the latest track meet we had.
So you think it was worth it? It was for a trial run. It did well.
Yes,
Okay,
and they probably spend close to $1,000 a year to have Andy come in there and grade that lot because kids or people go in and start doing cookies. This should put a limit to that.
well, hopefully somebody will hang a car up on them. How many people had to park in the grass, Mr. Bristol?
Over to the south side, but on the north side, you can see the cars.
There was 126 cars parked in the soccer field. You wouldn't have them?
I didn't, somebody else.
If there's 126 cars parked on that soccer field, where in the hell did they all park the last time then? I mean, every time we have another track meet, there's more cars.
Huge track.
Well, I know.
It's a big meet.
Now, was this the biggest meet we've ever had though?
Well, they just parked down the street and they just walked a quarter
Yeah,
mile.
they were parked up.
I parked here at school and walked
Yeah.
over.
They were.
126. Okay, we'll see how that worked.
And the grass looks great.
Yes.
I drove by. I didn't walk it, but I'm going to. How many sprinklers don't work?
I didn't try it.
We haven't turned the sprinklers on yet.
Okay.
So we gotta try that.
Okay.
Mr. Bristol, anything else you'd like to bring up on your report?
Playground, I'm gonna call today for Julie Cutley.
What was that again? I'm sorry.
I had a call from Julie Cutley, she's a playground lady. And they're scheduled to come out Thursday if the weather's permitting. Cause they need 40-degree weather for 5 days, and I don't know if we're gonna get that, cause I looked at the weather today and it's supposed to get down to 37 and 32.
Right. Well, they're not gonna install it then. What did they decide about that epoxy stuff? Are they getting us brand new, or did they just shuffle that and say they're getting us new, or what's the answer on that?
She told me, she being that Julie, that it has been sent back and we would have brand new.
Okay. Well, I just, just inform them, then if it's not put in, installed like the bucket says, we're not gonna pay them. So if they put it down and the temperature goes below the temperature it's supposed to be, we're not gonna pay them. Did you get that?
Totally agree.
Okay, anything else, Mr. Bristol?
Nope, that's it for me.
Hearing none, the next meeting is May 20th at 7 o'clock. Is that an issue for anybody? Okay, do I have a motion to approve May 20th as the next meeting at 7 o'clock? Got it first. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call?
Who made them up? Who?
I did. I moved. Is
Tori and Chad.
that all for you, Ms. Bristol?
Janet Miller?
That's it for me.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes.
Roy Cooper?
Yes.
Tom Kelly?
Yes.
Eric Turka?
Yes.
Randy Busher, yes.
Okay, meeting adjourned at 8:33. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe did our whole three.
Thank you, Janet. A lot of stuff got done and not, which.
I would.
I will get it.
Would you like me to bring it up next week?
There's that.
Who are you?
You know, I understand it and you want to, you watch that, you know.
Weight room's probably gonna be out of commission when, if they start redoing walls.